Gray skies loom over the horizon, though the sun fights for every precious minute it gets to stay. It'll rain again soon, with the wind bringing along the gloomy clouds normal to Luxbourne. Until then, it doesn't hurt to be out here for the fresh air and sunshine. I walk to the gardens, what little of it there is in the moment anyway, and kneel by the daffodils. These are the first to be brought here and planted on my request, and if nothing else, they brought in a sense of peace. They were my mother's favorites. Closing my eyes, I lift my chin up to welcome the sunlight that shines upon me. And for a minute, I can imagine myself as one of the flowers, peaceful, blooming, and all too happy to stand in its warmth. Life would be much easier if we were all like flowers, wouldn't it? Hi, Harley. Harley. But I didn't step out here to get all philosophical. I have problems much more practical than figuring out the meaning of life, after all. Too many things have gone on these past few days. I want to forget about them, even for just a moment.
It's almost All Saints, isn't it? To think I've almost forgotten.
I speak the words absent-mindedly. The date means nothing to me, as I nearly worship the religion nor have any graves to visit. After all, Mother was never given a proper burial. And it's a date as good as any for me to grieve. Otherwise, I would have done so every single day, crippling myself and shutting everyone else out. I can remember how the flames licked at her flesh and how it consumed her body until there was nothing left but ash. I stood there watching with the operator and a social service worker, though I could have been alone for all I cared. I felt alone. It was the most that could be done. No one would attend the funeral of a dead prostitute, let alone pay for it. All that is left of her, proof that she lived, is her name written in the ledger of the Luxbourne Cemetery, a lighter, and me. Pulling at the lighter from my jacket, I can't stop myself from flicking open to stare at the flame and to run my thumb over her name. All in all, it isn't much, but it's something. And it'll be wrong of me not to make something of myself when she would have given everything to make sure I can become anything I want to be.
Feels like I'm stuck
How's it going,
in a nightmare
Harley?
right now. What I would give to have you here by my side, Mother dear. To see you smiling at me. Alive and as beautiful as ever. I'm afraid I'm starting to forget what your face looks like. I've already forgotten the shade of your hair. And
Eleanor Chandler was a wonderful woman, though not everyone would have agreed. Not everyone had seen past her occupation, past her vices and her illness. All they saw was a poor woman who sold her body to make ends meet and had a bastard son because of it. They didn't see the mother who worked hard to put food on the table for me, the woman who gave and gave and gave to me while expecting nothing in return. She taught me the merits of hard work, but though I loved her so, I worked hard for myself. I would not be so foolish, so selfless towards people who would never give back. I learned that from the father who plucked me out of the orphanage for his own selfish gain. I pocket the lighter before I can feel the urge to actually set anything ablaze. Considering my close proximity to the flowers, they would be the most likely victim of arson. Just the thought itself is blasphemous. Nevertheless, that doesn't save them from being picked. Just enough to make a bouquet of things in honor of Eleanor.
would you be proud of me if you saw me now, Mother? Maybe.
I mean, you've killed people, so probably not. Just probably not.
You're always so forgiving.
Murder's a different
what trouble I got into.
Topic, though.
More than I deserved.
Childhood stupidity is not the same as murder. It's been a while since I've talked to my mother like this. I've been thinking of both my dear parents far too much, as of late, when I shouldn't. I have a future to look forward to and a present to take care of. These memories of the past give me nothing but grief. The life of Lucille Mitchell Chandler should be nothing but a footnote in Luke Wright's non-existent autobiography. It's because of Hannah, isn't it? I worry that she is all too much like Mother that it scares me, and the thought that I am turning into my father is even more so. But even if history is so set to repeat itself, I'm not a child anymore. Content to set aside, unable to do anything to help, and too inexperienced to think that the worst wouldn't happen. That was a weird sentence in my head. I have money to buy the best medicines and doctors if need be. She'll get better. She has to. And once we get over this little bump in the road, I can stop worrying. All will be right with the world. Unfortunately, my time alone is cut short, though.
I think those flowers look beautiful, my lord. The parlor, the room where the lady stays for her tea, it could certainly use some.
The voice is not familiar, though. I'm not really one to remember such things. Going with her attire, I would say that she's one of the housekeepers. She's the ghost. Strange, considering I've sent all the staff but Johann's away. And her face, as pretty as it is unfamiliar to me. It would be a lie if I said that it didn't set me on edge. Most would say that I cared little for employees, but this isn't entirely untrue. However, I'd like to think I know the people who work for me, especially those who would roam my home, even if it's just a face and a name. Besides, I would remember a beauty such as her. So who is this? If she is someone impersonating a household staff to get in, she's doing a bad job of it.
Didn't you get the memo? Are you new? Today is a day off. You aren't supposed to be here.
I expect poor excuses and apologies the likes of her often give, but she merely smiles.
Oh, no. I've been a servant here since you first came.
And I see no signs of lying nor hear it in her words, yet they can't be true. But I find that I feel like I can relax. She has that sort of smile that makes one's kindness shine through without words of action. It reaches her eyes, filling them with a strange sort of mirth, as if she's just thought of something very funny. Perhaps, had it been any other person, I would have interpreted it as a deceitful grin. But the curl of her lips and the shine of her eyes are too soft to hold any malice. And she takes my silence as a sign that she can continue. And it's not like I feel any urgency to stop her. I'm not really in the mood for company, but I'm not adverse to it at the moment either. Entertaining a beauty like her, even for a little while, wouldn't hurt. It helps that she proves easy to listen to, despite how oddly she speaks.
I apologize. I shouldn't have bothered you. Look at me, talking to the master of the house without even asking for permission. What will the others think? If you'll excuse me, I'll just...
I haven't driven you away yet, have I? And it's your day off. I don't see why we can't chat a bit.
Of course. If that is what you wish. As long as it does not get you into trouble with the lady. To even take time for someone as lonely as me. No wonder that everyone under the mansion's employ is so fond of you. Though it should have no longer been a surprise to me. You have always been such a kind and loving lord.
Ooh, sorry, babe. Sorry, babe. Come here, sweetheart. I'm so sorry. I moved my foot too fast and I hit one of my Switch remotes and I just launched it at the back of my dog's head. I am so sorry, boo boo. I am so sorry. Okay, that was thanks. I have to stop myself from calling her out on her shite. It's almost as if she's talking about an entirely different man. No matter how big my ego gets, I know for a fact that I'm hardly in the running for the Best Boss of the Year award. The only reason that most of my staff stays is because of the decent compensation. I'm not cheap. But if she wants to lay it on thick, I'll allow it. Who wouldn't want a beautiful woman complimenting
I'm sure
them?
she'll be fine with this. We are just talking after all. Unless you had other things on your mind when you approached me.
The words leave my mouth before I even realize what I've said. I panic a bit. Though I can get away with picking up women out in the cities, sometimes even out in the county, I've always taken care not to do so in my home or in my businesses. Not when it'll be so easy for Hana to find out about my infidelity through these channels. Yeah, you're a bastard. Though seriously, I still don't see what the big deal about it is. I just have an itch I need to scratch.
I know it must be amusing to see a girl flustered for a man of your stature. But please don't say such things, my lord. I saw you alone and simply thought you could use some company.
Thankfully, and I do count my lucky stars, it seems the woman takes it as a joke rather than the casual pass it was intended to be.
So how are you liking your work around the mansion? The place is wonderful, but I imagine the upkeep is ungodly with all the rooms and whatnot. I don't even want to think about how many people are on the staff roster.
Work is work, my lord. It is a way of living. A purpose from day to day. It is certainly far better than doing nothing or having no food to eat. The house itself is also beautiful. There's no lack of things to look at. I'm sure you've seen those books in the study. I can't read any of them yet, but if given the chance, I'm sorry. I shouldn't be thinking of those things.
Yeah, just launching shit at my dog. Whoopsies! Whoopsie poopsies, she's now sitting over in her bed on the side of the chair, not having that happen again.
Especially when the rains, they might bring more work to us soon. It will definitely be much more difficult when it returns. Idling about is the least I should be doing.
I guess you can put it that way if you want to be brutally honest about the whole thing. And the rain shouldn't be a problem. Hopefully. Maybe.
A little dryly, at least she doesn't beat around the bush. I like the honesty. Many would bemoan their status as a household staff, as a janitor or other menial role, and believe themselves to be for greater things. And I would not begrudge the idea that one can always get better. But one shouldn't be so discontent with what they have
The rain
either.
is something I simply must get accustomed to, if I am to live here. I I've not spent long in this place after all. But I have been told that it has rained in this nation since a mother's time, and their mother's time. There is little we can do about it. I am just glad to have time in the sun, even for a short while.
Isn't that the truth? Really, these sunny days have been welcome, though I can't imagine they'll last for long. Sometimes I just want to pack my things and leave for somewhere like, say, the Bahamas or whatnot. Get some sun and surf.
But certainly, you will return for us, won't you? This is your home, after all. Your people, they won't be pleased if the master of the house leaves.
Of course, I can't very well leave my businesses hanging here, can I? I just wish I could actually trust people enough to go on vacation without taking work with me.
You can't do shit.
I've also got to get back here if I ever want proper meals. A proper pudding is something you'll never find out there.
The woman nods in understanding, and I must say that she makes for a fine listening ear. Though what she says next gives me pause, whether she meant for me to hear it or not.
Tea. From what the cook has been telling me, I've yet learned how to prepare one. Perhaps once I do, it would endear the lady of the house to me. I never expected her to be so unkind after what she did for me. Though it's only if one catches her in a foul mood. I wish I knew how to avoid her anger.
I highly doubt she means Hana. That woman rarely has a mean bone in her body. When she actually is nasty towards someone else, it's usually deserving enough, much like with the Rochelle woman. Hell, she even tolerates Harvey for me, even if she did admit that she doesn't quite like the man. She must mean the head housemaid, right? I have to laugh at that. Not that I have room to speak, I don't deal with her myself anymore, though, even though Johannes has a few choice words about the head hag. She's just been under the right employ when she was also... She's just been under the right employ when she was also head housemaid for my father. And if anyone's not going to get along with someone, it'd be that crotchety old woman. I don't even remember her name. But the woman has been this strict, upstart bitch who took one look at me, her master's bastard son, and turned her nose up, as if she were better by mere consequence of birth. That and she absolutely loathed my existence. Perhaps the rumors had been true. She had a miscarriage while bearing another one of dearest father's children, and she saw me as an obstacle to her being granted a better standing in life. I remember that much, at least. The only reason I haven't sacked her yet is because of her competence. Also because working under my household makes her absolutely miserable. Her resignation made impossible by her pride.
Nobody really gets along with that woman. I think everyone just tolerates her because of how old she is. I mean, not to be rude or awful or anything, but she's at the age where she'll be pushing daisies soon enough.
Is she? Really, my lord? I'm sure the lady is much younger than that.
I think the thought of tormenting the young and beautiful gives her reason to live.
It does seem that way. Though I feel sorry for her. One's life should not be wasted away on hatred and anger. It is never good for the heart or the head to always carry ill thoughts. But at the least, you are here for us. We are certainly so lucky to have a lord like you. The lady even more so. The gods smile down on her. Though, if I may be honest, she is to be envied.
Even when I have my suspicions about her, she's just easy to talk with that I've forgotten. I don't know who she is, and she's actually one of the household staff. That would explain why she would so easily give obviously wrong statements about my character. Though if she is here for malicious reasons, she would have done more than do small talk with me by now, wouldn't she? I have so many questions. Perhaps curiosity will kill this
I've
cat.
never seen you before. What's your name?
You do not remember?
I don't believe you've mentioned it, or am I missing something?
You still cannot comprehend it. Can you, my lord?
Her answer chips away at the good mood I'm starting to get into. I have every right to be angry at the cryptic response. She threatens insubordination with her very presence alone. But instead of hurling vitriol at the woman, I take a deep breath. I do not want my mood ruined further than it already is. Not right now, when I can let my temper take its course another time.
Whatever your name is, and no matter how long you've been working for us, that does not change the fact that you shouldn't be here. I'll call you a cab to bring you to the city if you want.
Shouldn't I? What if I do not wish to leave? I merely desire to stay by your side and serve. Is that such a deplorable thing?
Her gaze sends chills down my spine. It's too easy to see the devotion, the obsession in her eyes, not the good sort either, as her scrutiny makes me feel like I'm laid bare. The ofteness of her presence is only the more palpable with the feeling of bugs crawling on my skin and the silence that makes it seem as if the world has stopped. Any friendly atmosphere we might have had going for us is completely forgotten. Danger. A small part in the back of my mind screams, the part that has kept me alive these years. And in hindsight, it'll be stupid not to take heed of it. But I've grown arrogant, complacent, and content to hide behind the wealth and power.
Yes, it's a deplorable thing, as you said, because I'd like to be alone now. Thank you very much. If you didn't want the day off, you should have reported to your superior. This is utterly unprofessional of you, and I shall be issuing complaints. In fact, if you know it's good for you, you should start looking for another employer.
It's at my threat that the smile on her face turns tight.
See. It escapes you still. This is unfortunate. How despairing that this misery must go on. But maybe, if you come with me, I can help you. I can...
When she reaches out for me, I recoil with a hiss.
How dare you lay your filthy hands on me without my permission? I am not going anywhere with you. Now step back and walk away before I have you forcibly removed.
As if a switch has been flipped, the woman's expression turns horrific, although that may very well be the understatement of the century. She herself turns horrific. Her presence is suffocating, bearing down on me. I'm rooted on the spot through no fault of my own as my fear paralyzes.
You are too much like that vile woman, poisoned by her rotten influence and her filthy words. But that can be remedied now that you're here. Oh, how we have waited to welcome you home. Come, my lord. The house beckons.
When her fingers grasp the back of my coat, I finally find I made a break off into a run. I can still feel her eyes on me as I run back to the house, but I refuse to acknowledge it, let alone look back. All I need is to get away from her and make sure she stays away. If that means acting like a coward and seeking out company to keep me safe, nobody can tell me to do otherwise. Bravery isn't something to be lauded if it comes along with stupidity. It must have been a sight to see the usually composed and reserved Luke Wright bursting through the doors. Not that I have much of an audience unless there are other staff members who've chosen to disregard my orders for them to leave. Really, I still doubt that woman is one of the staff. Mustering up the courage, I look back through the windows to see if she followed me. She's gone. But I don't take any chances, putting as much distance as I can between us. Stopping to catch my breath, Johannes suddenly appears, nearly making me jump out of my skin.
Fucking do that! You son of a bitch! If I had a gun, I would have shot you!
If I had any love left for my mutter, I'd take offense. But what happened to you? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Oh, if only it were such a delusion. If I can still feel her sharp nails digging into my back. The feeling was too real for it to have been a ghost.
There was his housekeeper. I think, I'm not sure. In the gardens. She was acting odd, and I thought to remove myself from the scene.
Strange, I made sure the rest of the stuff had left and the house was empty, as you requested. Describe this woman.
She had pale skin, dark eyes, and long, dark hair. She wouldn't give me her name.
I half expected a name from him. The man knows the staff better than I do, after all. But instead of an answer, he grows quiet. I'm pretty sure that is not a good thing. I'm even more worried when the other man looks me over. I have to protest when he pulls back my collar.
What the bloody hell are you doing?
Checking for marks. Needle marks, to be exact. We don't have anyone like that among the staff. You could have easily been kidnapped.
The cold feeling settles itself over me at the thought. I have long established my power over that more unsavory characters in Luxborn. Or I thought I did. And the most harm I thought that could come to me would be slander, robbery, or incarceration. Kidnapping? An attempt on my own person? I've forgotten that I am as human, as mortal as any other man despite my wealth and
Fortunately,
status.
you look unharmed. But I advise that you be accompanied by trusted individuals at all times from now on. If not me, an assigned guard. I'll be informing them of this soon, as they return from their day in the city.
Already I can feel the energy leave me at the realization of what could have been.
All right. Yes, I suppose we should do that. But I think I'd like to call it a day. I should be safe in bed, yes?
I'll stand guard outside for the night. The madam has been inquiring about you, by the way.
I guard. Any other threat, and he alone would be enough to make me feel safe. But what I saw, whatever I saw, would one man
That's
be
all
enough?
well and good, but there's something else. That housekeeper, she...
Luke, you're home. I was worried about you.
The grin that I can muster is probably lopsided. Forced as I snap my mouth shut to keep myself blabbering about witches and monsters, because I am here standing in the hallway, dirt on my pant legs and sweat dotting my forehead. A far cry from my usual pristine condition. I don't want to worry Hana. I
What
cough.
happened to you? You look like you wrestled in the mud and moss, dear. And those flowers. Were you gardening?
What? Oh, these. I didn't realize I still had them.
I really didn't. But there they are, still in my grip, the daffodils I had taken from the garden. Even in the wake of my flight, I had refused to let them go, whether I was conscious of it
Shall
or
I
not.
put them in a vase?
Perhaps I did it to save face, or maybe a small part of me really had planned to take them for her. But like a young man presenting flowers to Valentine's, I operated thus the bouquet in
They're
Hana's
for you.
direction.
These are lovely, thank you. But aren't these?
The surprise is to be expected, and the open-ended question needs a little interpretation. I've never given her daffodils before, especially not from the ones I considered
They're for
mine.
you. Don't make me think that kneeling around in the dirt was a waste of my time.
It's not. It's not. Just... Are you feeling alright? I hope whatever I have isn't contagious.
I'm not sick, Hana. I just got them for you. I thought they'd make you feel better, brighten up the room. I don't need my intentions questioned. The thank you was enough.
And I didn't mean to insinuate anything. But you're right. Thank you, truly, for these.
She takes them from me then, careful not to crush the stems. There is still uncertainty on her face, which endears and annoys me in equal parts, but she doesn't look lovely with them. But she does look lovely with them, the very picture of something that should be immortalized in paint. They should be for Mother. But it doesn't matter
Why don't
anymore.
we turn in for the night? You must be exhausted with all that gardening.
What does a dead woman care for flowers?